Sam Bankman-Fried has just been arrested in the Bahamas, and is Binance the next exchange to go down? This is your Altcoin Buzz news. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody Buffington. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we drop our latest content. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at AltcoinBuzzIO, and as always, this is not financial advice, and we wish you the best of luck in your crypto ventures. And don't forget, for a limited time, our Altcoin Buzz Access group is free, and while it is, you can get our great weekly market and NFT update reports from our amazing research team. Check them out for free now. The link is in the description below. Now, let's get into the news. This morning, Bitcoin rallied from 17 to 18,000 as CPI numbers came back better than expected. Last month, we were at 7.7%, and this month the expected number was 7.3%, but ended up coming in at 7.1%. Right now, we're about 75% sure that the Federal Reserve will increase the interest rates only 50 basis points at the FOMC meeting tomorrow. The last 4 months were each 75 basis points, and this could be the turning point for the Fed to ease up slightly, with inflation data coming out today better than expected. We'll have to see how it goes tomorrow, but this could be the catalyst to the year-end Santa rally. The Royal Bahamas police force arrested FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried last night. The arrest came after the U.S. filed criminal charges against Bankman-Fried, and the nation expects the U.S. to request the Bahamas extradite Bankman-Fried in short order. The charges included were wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud, and money laundering. The Securities and Exchange Commission has separately authorized charges relating to Sam's violations of the securities laws, which will be filed publicly today in the Southern District of New York. The SEC put out a press release today as well, saying since at least May 2019, FTX, based in the Bahamas, raised more than $1.8 billion from equity investors, including approximately $1.1 billion from 90 US-based investors. In his representations to investors, Bankman-Fried promoted FTX as a safe, responsible crypto asset trading platform, specifically touting FTX's sophisticated, automated risk measures to protect customer assets, which was not the case. Bankman-Fried was set to testify virtually before the House Financial Services Committee about the exchange's collapse today. In a statement, Committee Chair Maxine Waters said she was surprised to hear of the arrest, also saying it's about time the process to bring Mr. Bankman-Fried to justice has begun. However, as the public knows, my staff and I have been working diligently for the past month to secure Mr. Bankman-Fried's testimony before a committee tomorrow morning. We received confirmation this afternoon from Mr. Bankman-Fried and his lawyers that he was still planning to appear before the committee tomorrow, but then he was arrested. Early yesterday morning, Bankman-Fried said he couldn't travel to Washington, D.C. due to his busy schedule and security concerns. He said on Twitter Spaces, "I'm quite overbooked and was not planning to testify until very recently. From a security standpoint, it's very difficult for me to move right now and travel because the paparazzi effect is quite large." Bankman-Fried planned to spend much of his time in front of the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Financial Services, blaming others for the implosion of FTX and the situation he now finds himself in. He had planned to state multiple times that FTX US is fully solvent, though the US-based exchange was included in the bankruptcy filings and its customer funds are reportedly frozen. He says, "I wish I had not clicked a button on the DocuSign at 4:30 a.m., leaving some of FTX under destructive leadership." He added, "American customers were protected, at least until Mr. Ray's team took over." A hearing by the House Financial Services Committee on the collapse of FTX exchange went down today as planned, even without the firm's former CEO and founder Sam Bankman-Fried. Now CEO of FTX, John Ray's statement said this: Number 1, customer assets from FTX were commingled with assets from the Alameda trading platform. Number 2, Alameda used client funds to engage in margin trading, which exposed customer funds to massive losses. Number 3, the FTX group went on a spending binge in late 2021 through 2022, during which approximately $5 billion was spent buying a myriad of businesses and investments, many of which were only worth a fraction of what was paid for them. Number 4, loans and other payments were made to insiders in excess of $1 billion. Number 5, FTX stored certain private keys to crypto assets without effective security controls. And number 6, FTX used computer infrastructure that gave senior management access to systems that stored customer assets. The document noted the ability of Alameda, the crypto hedge fund within FTX Group, to borrow funds from FTX.com to be utilized for its own trading or investments without any effective limits. Before Sam was arrested last night, news came out that members of the inner circle of power at FTX formed a group chat called Wire Fraud and were using it to send secret information about the operations in the lead up to the company's failure. Sam responded by saying, "If this is true, I wasn't a member of that inner circle and I've never heard of such a group." Following the collapse of FTX and its November 11th bankruptcy filing, $73 million worth of its political donations are currently at risk of being recalled to repay the failed exchange's creditors. As the former FTX CEO and his executives sought to influence industry regulations regulations with their generous multi-million-dollar donations to politicians. Many politicians who are at the receiving end of FTX's generosity now face difficulty regarding what to do next, as they may be forced to return the money to the bankruptcy trustee. In order to distance themselves from the disgraced exchange, some politicians have already resorted to giving away their cash. Multiple people have already donated the money they received from FTX to charity. Despite their best efforts to distance themselves from FTX, these politicians might still be asked to return the funds to the bankruptcy trustee. One of the critical determining factors is if the court determines there was fraud or fraudulent intent involved in FTX's collapse. If determined so, almost all donations tied to the failed exchange could be targeted for recovery. There's surely a lot more to be uncovered this week as the story develops, so make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date. Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange by trading volume, released a new report Wednesday from global financial audit, tax, and advisory firms Mazars, showing that Binance's customer Bitcoin reserves are over-collateralized. They said at the time of assessment, Mazars observed Binance controlled in scope assets in excess of 100% of their total platform liabilities. Mazars said in an announcement that the exact percentage was 101%. The collapse of centralized crypto exchange FTX has rivals pushing to improve the transparency of their financial reserves. However, the assessment is not an official audit, according to Francine McKenna, a lecturer in financial accounting at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. They did a comparison of balances per public key address from a list they got from management. They did not compare any balances in independent banks or custodians or depositories. Mazars took a snapshot of Binance's total reserves and liabilities on November 22nd to perform a collateralization analysis. Assets included were customers' spot, option, margin, futures, funding, loan, and earn accounts for Bitcoin and wrap Bitcoin. Binance CEO CZ stepped in to reassure clients after the world's biggest crypto exchange experienced more than $1 billion of outflows after acknowledging that Binance has seen an increase in USDC coin withdrawals. CZ explained that to swap from Pax BUSD to USDC requires going through a bank in New York, and the banks are not open for another few hours, at which point Binance expects the situation to be restored. Seemingly dismissing concerns that customers may have any problems removing funds from the exchange, Zhao encouraged users to feel free to withdraw any other stablecoin. Dogami, a Web3 game that enables players to adopt and raise virtual dogs, raised $7 million in a seed extension round. Dogami enables individuals to buy non-fungible tokens of 3D dogs, which they can adopt and raise. Dogami did an initial drop of 12,000 dog NFTs in the first quarter of this year. Earlier this year, they partnered with fashion brand Gap to offer brand accessories for players to buy. Most recently, the startup launched Dogga House, which is a mobile game available to owners of Dogami NFTs on iOS and Android devices. Earlier this year, Dogami raised $6 million in seed round with backing from investors including Ubisoft, Animoca Brands, Tezos, and GSR. And with this new seed extension, this brings Dogami's total funding to $14 million. That's it for your Altcoin Buzz news update. I'm your host, Cody Buffington. Thanks for watching.